Hey out there, back at you with another video vlog, opinion-oriented vlog. This time we're going to be talking about revolution, the types of revolution that I can see anyway, and what I think will work and what I think will not work, and this covers a lot of ground, I guess. First off, things do need to change in this world. This is true. And they are changing, for better or for worse. Who knows yet? But there are a lot of people who want to violently overthrow the government, which is a terrible idea, because groups who want to violently overthrow the government will put in place another government. So that's why it's a terrible idea. Let alone the violence will kill people, which is totally unnecessary. And there's people out there in the world who we can vehemently disagree with, racist, I could go on. Racist, people are racist, but do they deserve to die? No. No, they don't. Maybe education will help. Talking with them, maybe them experiencing other things than what they're used to. They're indoctrinated just like anybody else is. Just like your progressives and liberals are indoctrinated, your conservatives, Republican types are indoctrinated. They're all indoctrinated. They will not generally listen to anything. But the other kind of revolution, which is the one that I think will work, is a non-violent revolution from within. And that means you change yourself. You start living what you start living in a free way. You start living in a self-sustaining, self-dependent way. You don't depend on anyone else. You learn how to do things, or you maybe depend on your neighbor who knows how to do something that you don't know how to do, to teach you or to do it for you, or a small community cooperative sort of thing. As long as you're not asking the government for much of anything or anything at all, I think you are, you're ahead of the game. Once enough people start living this way, I believe that the government will just kind of fade into the background. If not dissolve completely. I've been called an idiot for thinking this way, or laughed at. And I have a lot of progressive liberal friends, because I've got friends across the board. I don't discriminate. If somebody disagrees with me, that doesn't mean they're my enemy. So a lot of them do want to violently overthrow the government. Don't kid yourselves. This is probably why this whole thing in Las Vegas happened. Probably why a lot of violence happens. They want to do that. I understand that they're angry. They're going about it the wrong way, and I'm going to tell you something. What they want to put in place is going to be way worse than what we got now, I think. You don't want no communist government. Wealth should not be distributed evenly or equally throughout the population. If it were, everyone would be dirt ass poor. wealth should be distributed where it is deserved. It distributes itself in that way, I believe, in an unregulated free market. So, yeah, revolutions, violent versus non-violent. You got to go with the non-violent. Non-violent revolution doesn't put a group into power after you get rid of the group, that's in power. After you overthrow them, you don't need to. A revolution from within is changing you. If more people do it, it ends up changing the world. Growing your own food, living off the grid, not depending on corporations or the government for water or power. And there's an initial investment in time and a little bit of money, depending on how self-sufficient you want to be, or depending on how many luxuries you want to be. You could literally go to Harbor Freight and get a 100-watt solar panel system and run your computer. And hold on a second, my dogs are barking. So okay, sorry about that, but have to take a look-see when I hear my dogs barking. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about living off the grid. You don't have to have everything right off the bat. You can build it up. There are some people who live off the grid with no electricity. I mean, think about the Mennonites or the Quakers or whoever they are, the ones that don't believe in electricity. They live just fine off the grid. I've met people out here who have outhouses. They don't have running water. They make do. There's people out here with gravity water systems, water catchment. I myself am hauling water from a community well that I paid into. Bought a membership, and I have a 1,700-gallon cistern that I fill up like once a month, once every 2 months, depending on my water usage. And it has an electric pump that pumps water into my house just like normal. Has an alarm on it when it goes off. You got that. You can dig a well. Certain things cost money. Wells out here where I'm living, like on my property, will probably run me around $50,000 to $60,000. I was supposed to have a shared well, but the person I bought the land from lied to me. Which happens, you just have to be able to either deal with it or take them to court, whatnot. But you have to be prepared for stuff like that. But there's different ways, there's different levels. It depends on how passionate you are about your beliefs and the system that you hate. Do you want to, do you hate it? Do you want to change it? You change yourself. Maybe do with less. Do with less than what you think you need. I have met people out here that have literally hardly anything, and they're living off the grid, and they're just as happy as they can be. They wouldn't want to live any other way. People who travel the world, but they live with almost nothing. Very little electricity, water, or anything like that. I myself have I have a pretty sizable solar array. I put some money into it, but you don't have to. You can start small and build up. It's how it is. It could be done though. And a lot of people just live with way more than what they even need. I had a 6-bedroom house with 3 energy sucking air conditioner units. One unit broke down. For a rebuilt one, $5,000. For a brand new one, it would have cost me $10,000. Nobody needs that sort of luxury. You know, there was a time when the air conditioners didn't exist and people still lived. I don't have an air conditioning unit up here. Summers are about 2 months long. And it's a dry heat, so it's hot, but it's not too hot. And it can be remedied with an air cooler, or what's called a swamp cooler. Way less, way more energy efficient. And I got mine, and I suffered through the first summer here that we were building with no AC. We did fine. We did great. You know, you can make do. Get out of those fucking cities, number one. The cities are, I'm not talking about small towns or even large towns, but the cities, like your Dallases, your Atlantas, your New Yorks, your Los Angeles, etc. They are cesspools of dependency on the system. The government wants us all to move to the cities. We're easier to control that way, easier to indoctrinate. Just get out. Get out. Live like a real free human being. In these small towns in the United States, they could handle some revitalization. If you like going out to a bar or whatever, that's cool. They got some pretty good bars. Around here, they got some really kick-ass ones. You're not missing anything by leaving the city. Learn how to survive. Learn how to not to be dependent. Have you ever felt like, damn, I wish I knew how to survive in the wilderness, or damn, what if the shit does hit the fan? Well, I'll be ready. A lot of city dwellers won't be. A lot of city dwellers will get killed. A lot of city dwellers will get killed even if they have a plan to leave, to exit. Those plans, you get out in the country, you become part of a small community. They trust you, but shit ever hits the fan, you leave. These country folks are going to defend their property against scavengers, basically. So these are the things you could think about. It probably won't come to that. It might. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? It's good to be prepared. And if you don't care about yourself, what about your family? You don't have a family? Hey, stay in them cities. You know, I've got a lot of kids, so I got out of the city so I could teach them another way to live, you know. And don't become part of the violence. Violent revolution is just not the way. It's not going to work. It'll just continue the problems that we currently have on for another generation and another generation. It just is really kicking the can down the road violently. Like, a lot of people die, and in the end you end up with another regime. What we want is no regime at all. You know, what we want is personal responsibility for yourself. What we want is independency. Learning how each and every human learning how to survive things that we've forgotten. You know, that's all. Anyway, peace.